There we go. And then I'm just going to go ahead and open the waiting room so people can just come in as they arrive, which is great. We don't have to bother with letting them in, but we will mute people as they come in. Here we go. Okay, you're fine. We're good. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Ann Church. I'm with Villages of Santa Fe, and also Katie Titus, who is in charge of inpatient rehab at CHRISTUS St. Vincent's here in Santa Fe. And this program this morning is brought to you by and sponsored by AARP. And they also sponsor our Monday morning exercise classes. So if you are not enrolled in those, please go ahead and sign up. You can sign up through AARP local, or you can sign up through Villages of Santa Fe. And we'll get started shortly on our fall prevention program. Be sure to have some water. We'll take questions throughout the program, and we will also, if you have a question, you can put it in chat, and we'll stop from time to time to have questions. So feel free to put your questions in chat, and I'll be checking on those as we go along. And we'll get started in just a few minutes. Let's see, we are recording. Great. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Ann Church. I'm the founder of Villages of Santa Fe. And our program today is fall prevention because we feel that that is, as our older community ages, just a super, super important part of staying healthy and aging in place and being independent. So again, my name is Ann Church. I'm with Villages of Santa Fe. I'm also a New Mexico Department of Health Master Trainer for the evidence-based fall prevention program, Matter of Balance. I'm also on the executive committee for the New Mexico Adult Falls Coalition. So our program is really all about falls, and we have a number of different programs. We'll talk to you about those later. But I also want to introduce Katie Titus. Katie, would you introduce yourself? I think you're freezing up a bit. There you go.
All right, sorry, everybody. Technology in the hospital is always a challenge for me. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Katie Titus. I'm the clinical supervisor for our inpatient rehab unit at CHRISTUS St. Vincent. And Ann and I have been partnering together for several years now because we're recognizing that, the patients I see in the hospital perhaps don't need to be there if we can reach them before a fall occurs. So thanks again for attending today.
So Villages presents a number of programs in addition to all of our exercise programs. We provide age-appropriate online and in-person exercise programs focusing on balance, strength, flexibility, and all of those are very critical for fall prevention. The workshop is designed to reduce the fear of falling and increase activity levels. Falling is a vicious cycle. There are a lot of myths about falling that we will discuss. Fall statistics. We have national and state statistics here. We talk about the bad habits that increase your chance of falling. What causes falls? We're going to do a little steady risk assessment, which will assess your risk level, and what to do if you do fall. And then we'll have a Q&A during and after the program. Our team, again, is made up of a number of different people that you may see from time to time if you attend these programs. Again, myself, I'm the founder and executive director of Villages of Santa Fe. Katie is the clinical supervisor, inpatient rehab at CHRISTUS St. Vincent's Hospital, and we have other people on our team.
So today we're going to talk a lot about the importance of exercise and being active. There are lots of different ways that you can sort of assess your readiness for exercise. A lot of those factors include endurance, strength, balance, and flexibility. We'll talk about some barriers to exercise, some safety tips. We're going to talk a lot about some of the root causes of falls, including the effect medications have on falls, your vision, your hearing, nutrition, hydration, and then we'll talk a little bit about some safety gadgets for better living at home and safer living. So when we talk about the impact of falls on quality of life, they carry a heavy burden even without an injury. You know, there's the mental toll, there's the toll that your family absorbs knowing that you've had a fall. Older adults may fear falling and as a result limit their activities and social engagements. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. So you have a fall, you're afraid of falling again, so you limit your activity. That reduces your muscle strength, your balance, your ability to walk, your flexibility. You know, you're not leaving the house as often, you're not engaged in the things you used to love, and then invariably you fall again. So patients who are hospitalized for a fall-related injury, 35% of them will be readmitted for a fall-related injury, and 5% will die within a month. So it's a big deal. According to the CDC, more than 1 out of 4 Americans over the age of 65 falls every year, so 25%. And they're the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries among older adults.
We have some myths about falling, and we want to talk about those because, one of the myths is it's not going to happen to me. Well, I don't know. Every time I go into the doctor asks me if I've fallen, and fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't fallen in a few years, but I did take a pretty bad fall one year, and it was being silly. But falls do happen to you. And falls are something normal that happens when you get older. And as you see the statistics, yes, falls do happen. But we're going to show you some tips and strategies to prevent that from happening. And if I limit my activity, I won't fall. Well, that's what Katie was talking about, that vicious cycle, that you limit your activity, therefore you lose even more muscle mass and you're less stable, so you're more likely to fall. Exercise won't help. Oh, it does. Yes, you will lose muscle strength and you will lose muscles as you age. But they can be regained and they can be stabilized, and you can have that muscle strength and power. And then also, as long as I stay at home, I can avoid falling. But Katie, I think 70% of falls happen in the home.
And like
So
90% of the bathroom.
and then take those and put yourself in the bathroom, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Taking medication doesn't increase my risk of falls. We'll talk in depth about that because that's a very, very common cause of falls. Another one says I don't need to get my vision checked every year, and we'll have a little test when we're doing our steady assessment to see how well you can stand up with your eyes closed, but holding on to something. Using a walker or cane will make me more dependent. Just from personal situation, I was on crutches since May of last year and then had hip replacement. I have to say I didn't go anywhere without my crutches or some sort of stability device because I was not going to fall. It's really, really important to use devices around here, and we'll talk about those more, but please use them. They give you a lot more chance to avoid a fall. Also, communication. We talk about this. And when I first started and got into fall prevention, I was like, well, what does talking have to do with it? But I realize how important it is because fall prevention is a team effort. And again, according to the CDC, more than 1 out of 4 Americans aged 65 and up fall annually, and they're leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries among older adults. And exercise is the only way to prevent falls. But if you don't talk to your family about your situation or they don't talk to you, then they don't know what you want. They don't know where you want to be in today in 5 years and 10 years. And I think avoiding a fall is really one of the most critical ways to keep your independence. But then communication is really super important.
So talking a little bit about national statistics, unintentional falls are the leading cause of injury and injury-related death among older adults in the US and in New Mexico. We spend $50 billion a year on medical costs annually in the US, and we know that there are plenty of ways that we can intervene to prevent falls. Talking about other consequences of falls, falls are the most common cause of older adult traumatic brain injuries. So another big reason to stay on your feet. Here's a
Uh,
little chart. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's okay. But one of the things we want to point out, we are in New Mexico. We're a very rural state, and I think you can see this in many other rural states. If you're in a state that has a very rural population, you're going to find your population, your the death rate from falls is going to be higher than the national average. We'll talk about the reasoning for that, but we do want to work in Villages of Santa Fe. Our mission is to prevent falls and to reduce injury from falls in northern New Mexico.
So when we talk about balance and balance disorders, our balance, our ability to maintain our balance is affected by three sensory systems in our body. The one we rely on the most is our vision. So that's why getting an annual eye exam is so important. Proprioception is our inherent awareness of what position our body is in space, and when we're standing still and when we're moving. And our vestibular system is a combination of an inner ear function and connections to the brain that assess acceleration and turning, as well as head position. So if any of those three systems are not working properly, you have less information about, an impending fall, that your body's changing positions and you need to react to it. So these are some questions to ask yourself related to that. Do I feel unsteady? Do I feel as if the room is spinning around me? Do I feel like I might lose my balance and fall? Do I actively feel like I'm falling even when I'm not moving? Do I feel lightheaded or like I might faint? Is my vision really accurate or does it feel a little blurry? So STEADY stands for Stopping Elderly Accidents, Deaths, and Injuries. It's a program that the CDC created years ago to help screen for and then do a deeper dive into assessing people's risk for falling, especially older adults.
Oops, sorry. Hold on, hold
Oh,
on, hold on. I got, sorry about that.
no worries.
It got very touchy about.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
All right, so this is one of the screening measures in study. So this is something that can be done at the doctor's office. You could do it at home if you have a way to assess your blood pressure. Just make sure that you've got someone near you if you do feel faint. But orthostatic hypotension is a condition where blood pressure drops with position changes. So you're sitting and then you stand, your blood pressure drops, you feel faint, or you might actually become unconscious. So this is tested between lying and standing, technically. So we're looking for a 20-point drop in the top number of your blood pressure or a 10-point drop in the bottom number of your blood pressure to indicate that this is potentially leading to you feeling dizzy. The four-stage balance test is a screening tool to pick up balance problems related to different foot positions. So the test is conducted in standing without holding on to something. The first test position is feet side by side. The second test position is feet slightly skewed near each other. The third test position is, can't do it with my hands very well, like you're walking on a tightrope, heel to toe. And the fourth position is standing on one leg. So if you're able to at least get through 10 seconds of the standing heel to toe, that's considered fairly low risk for falling. So if you're struggling with test positions 1 and 2, obviously start with the easier ones and work your way up. But all of these assessments, for the most part, can be used also to train whatever you're lacking. So if you're having a hard time with this test, this is how you exercise your balance to train it. The timed up and go test, or tug, is testing your strength to get up out of a chair, your walking speed to walk 10 feet away, turn around and return to the chair. You can use a cane or a walker if you normally do. The assessor is usually a therapist, although they do the screening test at your doctor's office too, potentially. And it's looking to see if you are unsteady while you're walking and how long it takes you to walk. So there are norms related to how long it takes you to walk 10 feet, turn around and come back.
And Katie, the great thing is in our Falls 3 checkup this September at CHRISTUS, we'll be having all of these tests, so you can come in and get all of these tests while you're there.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to ask for a little audience participation here because if you're sitting and listening for too long, you're going to fall asleep. So this test is the 30-second chair stand test. So this test is working on your strength to stand up from a chair without using your hands. So we're going to be asking you to stand up and sit down if you can do so safely, especially if you're in a chair that doesn't have wheels on it, for 30 seconds continuously and count how many times you're able to stand up and sit down. And then we'll compare it to the age matched and gender matched norms in the bottom. So I'm going to back up a little bit, get myself ready.
So do you want to show them,
Ready?
shall we show them what you're actually
Sure.
to cross your arms? Let me see if I can't get the camera down a little bit. You're going to cross your arms and you're just going to stand up and sit down. So we're going to do that for 30 seconds, and I will start a timer in just about a half a minute. And what we want you to do is do as many as you possibly can, and then we will go to the chart and we'll figure out where you are in your risk of falls. So let me add a timer. Just a second. Come on. Here we go. All right, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, start. We use this test in our classes, and it's really great. It's one of those things that as you work on your exercise and do exercise on a regular basis, you can do this stand up and this 30-second chair stand, and you can see how you are. Okay, we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay. All right. So everybody, you want to unmute and or put your information in the chart, in the chat. And as you see on the right-hand side, it has by gender and by age and by gender. So, oops, let me go back. Does not want to go back. There it is. There it is. So we will also have, somebody asked where the recording will be up after this lecture. It will be in our blog. So if you go to www.villagesofsantafe.org and go down the page a little bit, there'll be a blog that says fall prevention. And not only will the video be there, but the link to these steady assessments will be there and some other documents that you might be interested in. So you can actually download this and print it out. And let's say do it every 30 days or something. Take an exercise class, do one of our classes, and come back and see if you've improved your chair stand number. So, let's see. I think you can see that. What have we got here? We have Laura, I think you unmuted. Did you want to?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
What was that website again? I missed it.
Okay. But you can see these are these are things you can do yourself at home. The hypertension, maybe not, the orthostatic, maybe not. But this type of thing, this sit to stand is really simple for you to do. And I really encourage you, if you're starting an exercise program, take this test, write it down, and then see where you are in 30 days, because it'll give you a good indication that what you're doing is actually helping in your life. All right, so becoming a safer faller. I think, Katie, you're going to talk about that.
Mhm. Yep. So a lot of people ask if there's a safe way to fall. The short answer is yes, there's a safer way to fall. The longer answer is that unless you are exercising regularly, you're pretty in tune with your body, it's pretty hard to change how you're falling during a fall. But there is some evidence about some specific ways that you can fall that you might minimize your injury, but you need to be strong and flexible to be able to implement these things. So the things that you could do in the middle of a fall to reduce your risk of injury, if you're regularly exercising and stretching, are to stay loose and stay bent. So big tree fall hard, not good. You want to get lower and bend as you're falling. Don't want to go stiff as a board down to the ground. To avoid a brain injury, the most important thing to do is to tuck your head and look away from the direction that you're falling. Another tip is to try to land on your meaty parts, not your bony parts. So try to distribute the force along your whole thigh up to your bottom, your belly. If you've got a belly, try to sort of distribute the force across multiple body parts instead of landing directly on one point. And to do that, one good tip is to keep falling. So if you're pretty positive you're going down, you take a quick scan around you, you got nothing you can reach out for, keep falling. Tuck and roll if you can. Keep rolling, keep bent, so that you're not landing directly on one point with all of your force. So traumatic brain injuries usually result from direct blow to the head. Not always, though. Sometimes brain injuries can happen sort of in a whiplash fashion. If you've hit your head or you think that you've hurt your head in a fall, even if you didn't directly hit it, really important to seek medical care right away. So here's kind of an illustration of how injuries can happen to the brain. So the most common couple of injuries that happen after falling and hitting your head are a subdural hematoma. So that's a collection of blood that forms in the barrier between the brain and the skull, or a subarachnoid hemorrhage where you actually have blood vessels damaged inside your brain. So the most common symptoms of a concussion or a brain injury are listed at the bottom there. I'll just name a few of them that are more common. Headache, loss of consciousness, nausea, vomiting, or dizziness, blurred speech or just fogginess, and fatigue. Those are the most common, but all of those symptoms listed at the bottom there, if you develop any of those signs or symptoms, then you need to ask family or friends to help you identify them, because one of them can also be a little bit of denial or poor insight to how you're doing. Even if it's 1, 2, 3 weeks after you've hit your head, these things can sometimes take a while to become apparent. I've heard stories about people coming to the emergency department, they get a CT scan of their head, it looks good, they go home. 2 weeks later, they get really dizzy and they can't walk. And then they come back to the hospital and they've developed a collection of blood on their brain. So it can take a while for these things to develop. So keep looking out for those signs up to 3 weeks after you hit your head.
And Katie, I think when we were talking with the group up in Dixon, the fire chief was there talking about when they ask for medication, let's say you've fallen, they call the EMS, and they're going to ask you for your list of medications. And again, it's not to be invasive or anything, but for example, if you're taking blood thinners and you've hit your head, the chances of a brain bleed are higher. So those
Absolutely.
those are the things they just need to know, so that if they're going to be treating you, they have a sense of where you are medication wise and what could be possibly causing problems. And so always take TBI very seriously, because you may not notice anything.
That's
You
right.
know, you just may be like, I just don't feel that good, but somebody else may, and go ahead and follow their lead. If they say you need to go to the hospital, if you've lost consciousness, or if you've got slurred speech, vomiting, please just go. It really is worth it.
So we're going to talk about some bad habits that increase your risk of falling. So many people I talk to, they come to our inpatient rehab unit, they've broken a hip or something because of the fall. I ask them what happens and they say, oh, it was the dumbest thing. Almost every single person is like, I never do this. And the one time I did this. So we're trying to reduce behaviors that put you at higher risk for falling. And step one is just identifying what those behaviors are.
So we're going to talk about the importance of exercise. Again, the CDC says really the only way to prevent falls is by exercise. There's no pill, there's no big center. Well, there's a gym, but that's not that big. So, if you understand the importance of exercise in preventing falls, what stops you from exercising, identify which exercises are suited best for fall prevention, and creating a daily exercise routine. One of the things we do at Villages is all of our instructors are very attuned to working with our older population. 88% of the people who participate in our classes are over 65. And I think it's like 12 and a half are over 80. So, and those exercise programs are different from Katie's age. All right. We're not trying to add more weight. We're not trying to do burpees. We're trying to really keep our movement and keep our strength and keep our independence. Safety tips. Don't hold your breath. During strength exercise, we always talk about breathing. Use safety equipment. If you're biking, wear a helmet. Drink plenty of fluids during physical activity. Dehydration can cause dizziness and lead to a fall. In fact, dehydration could actually lead to a situation of you ending up in the emergency department. Warm up your muscles before you exercise. So the ways to be active, we have endurance. So that's building your capability of activity. Makes you breathe hard. The CDC recommends 150 minutes a week of exercise. And that can be walking, dancing, biking, rowing, swimming, whatever it is, but 150 minutes a week. Strength exercise builds muscles. And again, as we age, we do lose muscle mass, but we can regain it by exercising and being flexible. Flexibility to me is everything. I have a 2.5-year-old grandbaby, and man, I have to spend 90% of the time on the floor. That means I'm up and down an awful lot. And if I'm not flexible, there's no way to be able to do that kind of and I love doing it. It's really, I don't want to be the person sitting in the corner. I want to be the one in the midst of the games on the floor. So join a gentle, we have yoga, we have Tai Chi, we have stretch classes, and we'd love to see you in our classes that are online or in person here in Santa Fe. Balance, so important. The more you exercise, the better your balance is going to be. But balance can just be practiced. I mean, just standing on one foot, let's say just while you're brushing your teeth, you're washing the dishes, balance, just balance. The more you do it, it is one of those situations where the more you do it, the better your balance is going to be. And that's really critical when you start to do a fall, because one of the things about balance is that and Katie discussed the proprioception, where you are in the world. And if you have a balance where you can stand on foot, then you can reach out with the other leg and stop a fall, or give yourself a second to tuck and roll. One of the things we also we talked about communication, we talked about mindset. And some people call it attitude, belief, demeanor, disposition, frame of mind. How does this fit into fall prevention? And so as we work more and more with people about preventing falls, we've just found that this assertive communication between your family and your doctors is just a core critical skill for you to have. And it's a way for you to express yourself effectively and respect the rights and beliefs of others, and have others respect your rights as well. One of the key things we talk about in some of our other programs is knowing we'll get to medication shortly, but knowing what your medication is and being responsible for that and be able to communicate that. Because when you go to the doctor or you call if you have to call the emergency 911 and they come to help you, the first thing they're going to ask is, what are your medications? You need to be able to communicate and tell them what you're taking. Just that is a critical part of discerning what's going on with your falls.
So speaking of medication, 81% of older adults use at least one prescription drug. Half of older adults use at least one dietary supplement. And 26% of older adults use at least 5 prescription medications concurrently with over-the-counter supplements. So that's a lot of room for interaction between drugs. And most people don't, know exactly what those interactions might be. So it's really important to be able to communicate those things to your doctor or to a pharmacist so that they can help discern whether or not there might be some interactions that could cause you to feel dizzy or lightheaded or, impact your sensation. There are lots of different ways that medications can affect your risk for falls.
Yeah, I think it's really important this day and age. We're having here in Santa Fe a lot of crises with our different pharmacies where our individual privately owned pharmacies are really disappearing, and the big chains like Walgreens and CVS don't have enough pharmacists. So it's really critical. It's very hard to find somebody who can help you with evaluating your medication. So when you go, let's say for your primary care physician checkup once a year, you might talk to them about it and maybe find a pharmacy that has actual everybody has pharmacists, but do they have the time to discuss it with you? Lately I've moved almost my drugs to the outpatient pharmacy at the hospital because not only I can ask any question at that point and there's somebody always available. I just found out yesterday they actually have a pharmacist who's trained in oncology as well. So they can talk about the different interactions between the drugs, but don't forget your supplements. You have to know what supplements, they have to know what supplements you're taking because those can also interact with your drugs. It's really critical. Eye exams, yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about vision being the sense that we rely on most to tell us where we are in space. I work with a lot of patients who have strokes, they have brain injuries, and the most disorienting thing for these people is when their vision changes. So just imagine if your prescription is off just a little, it can really impact you and you might not even realize it. Honestly, I just got glasses. I'm 39 years old. I just got my first pair of reading glasses. I couldn't believe when I sat in that chair and they were having me, tell the difference between the different pictures. The world looked pretty clear to me until that test, I tell you what. So you might not even realize what you're missing out on until you get your annual eye exam. So just get it checked out. You want your vision as clear as possible. Ask your optometrist questions about how bifocals or trifocals or transition lenses might impact your balance, especially on uneven ground. That's something that I hear from a lot of my patients that, they're pretty good inside when the ground is level, but when the ground is changing, it's maybe a little harder for them to have that depth perception, especially if they're wearing a new kind of prescription. So don't underestimate the effect of an eye exam.
Yeah, I think when somebody says, "Oh, how can vision really affect me that much?" When we do that balance, if you're standing on one leg or whatever, and you try to close your eyes and try to stand on one leg, and I don't know, what is it? I think it's good if you can do this for 10 seconds. It's
Oh,
just
yeah,
hard, very hard to balance with your eyes shut.
it is. Even with your feet wide apart, standing on two legs, it's definitely harder.
Yeah.
So in addition to vision, we're learning more about how hearing exams might play a vital role in balance. We know that hearing can also be correlated to cognitive impairments as we age. And we are hypothesizing that people with worse hearing who don't have hearing aids are also at a higher risk for falls. I think partly that might be, that your hearing is related to your vestibular function sometimes. So if you have hearing loss, you might also have vestibular loss, meaning you're not sensing acceleration and turning as well. But also, I think just not having that sense of your surroundings can be problematic, especially when you're out in public. So footwear is really important. We've had a lot of debates in the past about what the perfect shoe is. There's no perfect shoe. Everybody needs to wear a shoe that they feel comfortable in. It's well fitting. It's not too loose or too tight. It's got a wider base, ideally, but not so wide that they're going to trip on their own feet. I've seen that happen as well. They're making shoes with really wide bases now, and if you're not used to them, you can kind of hit your feet against each other when you're walking. Something with a heel on the back. So even if you're into sandals, I'm not going to drop a brand name per se, but having a sandal with a strap on your heel so that your foot isn't slipping out of the shoe is really important. And then if you have diabetes or other reasons for peripheral neuropathy or problems with sensation in your feet, it's really important that you're wearing good supportive shoes at all times, even in the house. You might want to see an orthotist or a podiatrist to give you some recommendations if you have foot deformities related to neuropathy. But we do recommend that you not walk barefoot in the house, ideally, if you have neuropathy, because you could step on something, not realize that you stepped on it. That could lead to a wound. This is less about falls, but it's still important to wear good footwear, especially if you have diabetes.
I think our biggest thing these days is like ditch the flip-flops.
Flip-flops.
Yeah, ditch them. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe if you're going into the shower at the gym or something, but in general,
Crocs.
flip-flops should be just like, they're gone.
Same with slippers. If you're going to wear slippers around the house, get some slippers with a heel on them. It's just, and something that's not super slippery on the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, let me go back. Hold on just a second. No, there we go. So one of the things we also, people, when we talk about fall prevention, everybody say like home safety and clear the clutter. And that is really important. When I've gone in to help people with their homes and they've got newspapers on the floor, stacks of books and or cables or whatever, it's very easy to slip on those types of things. So, clear the clutter, light it up. Lighting, I think, is just the key to safer homes. Hold the rails, cut the skids, toss the throw rugs, and move it where you use it so that when you're in the kitchen, the bathroom, if there's something you use every day, you don't need to have it way overhead. It needs to be within arm's length. So rearrange your kitchen, rearrange your things so you can get to it. This will also be on our site, so you can download the AARP checklist. It just lets you go through the your rooms and take a check and see if there's something you need to alter. I mean, we here in Santa Fe, people have these beautiful Navajo rugs, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to get rid of my rugs." And I'm like, "Well, let's just hang them on the wall. They make great wall hangings. They're beautiful. Let's but utilize them, but understand that they can be a trip hazard." Hydration, yes.
Yep. So, this kind of goes into some of the same symptoms that you might experience with medication effects. Being dehydrated can make you feel kind of dizzy, disoriented, not thinking clearly. It can affect your heart rate, blood pressure. A lot of times, the first line of defense when someone is feeling really dizzy and we think it's a blood pressure issue is we encourage them to drink more water. One caveat is that drinking too much water without balancing your electrolytes can lead to problems with electrolyte balance. So mix it up. So throw an electrolyte supplement in your water, lemonade, tea. We don't want to load up sugar if we can avoid it. Anne's got some good recipes for things that she puts in her water just to make it taste a little better.
I have a whole list of things, but two things that I use. I make, there's all this deal about electrolytes. Well, electrolytes are not anything special. You can really literally make your own electrolyte water. Just, I have a great mix of fresh fruit, a little bit of salt, water, and a splash of this company makes these wonderful syrups, and one of them is a spicy ginger. And it just, like right now, I have a whole 32 ounces of water and spicy ginger. And I just keep it right by me, and I know that I'll sip on it all day long. I know I'll stay hydrated, and it's not boring, which can sometimes water is just like, oh, not another glass of water.
Mhm. And one thing that I hear from a lot of patients is that they're afraid to drink too much water because they might have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, which is a legitimate concern. And again, I mentioned that a very high percentage of falls happen in the bathroom. So, this could be a mixture of 5 different factors leading to a fall in the bathroom. You don't drink enough water, you're a little dehydrated, you get up in the middle of the night anyway because you still have to go to the bathroom, you faint on the way to the bathroom, or you're drinking too much water at the very end of the day. You're rushing to get to the toilet and you trip on something because you didn't turn on a light. See how these things all play together? So one tip with hydration is to try to drink a little bit of water all day long. Like Anne was saying, have a water bottle, sip on it all day, maybe stop between like 5 and 6, depending on what time you go to bed if you're concerned about having to get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom.
Hold on. Just one moment. It is not, it is doing its own little thing. There we go. So one of the things we're going to talk about, oh, just keeps on. Come on. One of the things I love to talk about are gadgets from your home. And Katie was just talking about getting up in the middle of the night. I think the motion detector lights are just the greatest thing that you can have these days. Used to be you had to plug them in or have somebody come in and wire them in. And now with the LED battery light, it's just incredible. You can have them plugged in the bathroom. You can have them these little round circles on the left-hand side. I think you can get 6 of them from Amazon for about $15. They take AAA batteries, I think, and the batteries last at least a half a year. So I literally have those walking up my stairs. I don't have to turn on the big light. I start up the stairs and the lights just come on sequentially. That's really good. The same thing, here's a picture coming into my garage. I have I have one step, and I have a light that comes on, a motion detector light, so that if I get close to that step, it lights up. You can see it, and then there's a big motion detector light right by the door. To get up in the middle of the night, you don't want to turn on the light, wake everybody up, or just even have that flash in your eyes. This under bed light is really neat. It's a long, thin strip that attaches underneath your bed, and there's a motion detector you can put anywhere. You can put it on the floor, you can put it on your nightstand so you can wave your hand. Like I had one and my dog kept on turning it on, so I moved it so he wouldn't turn it on. But it comes on, it's a very low light. You can go to your bathroom, come back, and the light is still on, and then it gradually it gets dimmer and dimmer. So that works really nice. You can just go to Amazon and click on and search on motion detector lights. You will find everything from floodlights that'll light up the outside of your house to, little tiny lights for your closet, just whatever works for you. But I really encourage you to get those because walking around in the middle of the night when it's dark is, I think, probably, a, except for the bathroom falls, the second most dangerous thing to do, especially if you have a black dog or something like that. When we're talking about walking safety and using devices, around here in Santa Fe, we hike a lot. And so I have these poles in my car and I use them all the time. And after my hip surgery, it was really great because I'd use them for balance and walking wherever I wanted to walk. And I didn't need crutches, but I wanted some extra support. And they have rubber tips for them so that they're very steady. And it felt so safe. And it felt really good to make sure that I had an extra point on the ground every time I moved. So if I started to slip, I had something that would help me maintain my balance. Again, those are available Amazon, REI, uh, along those lines. One of the things we talk about is living alone and falling. And that's such a big concern with people. It's a concern with me. I live alone. And I know that I could fall. I could fall and hit my head and be unconscious. I do have an Apple Watch. It does require an Apple Watch and an iPhone. That is a drawback, but you may already have an iPhone. And if you do, you can get an Apple Watch and they have fall detection, which is, I think, a much superior product than the one you buy for a subscription to hang around your neck because usually your kids buy it for you and you stick it in the drawer. You're not going to wear it all the time, but you're going to wear your watch. And what happens, so watch, if you fall, it's an acceleration and the vertical drop. So it knows something happened and it's going to come back and it says, like it says, looks like you've taken a hard fall. Emergency call or I'm okay. And it's buzzing right then. It's going, brr, brr, brr. If you don't answer this and say, I'm okay, First of all, it's going to call 911 and say, we detected a fall, and it's going to give the location based on your GPS locator. Number two, it's going to call everybody on your emergency call list on your phone. So on my emergency call list, I have my daughter, my son-in-law, my best friend, and my next door neighbor, and my doctor. So if I fall and I'm unconscious, it is going to call not only 911, but it's also going to call the people that need to know that information as well. Um, I've never had to use it, but a friend of mine did. She was up on her road during it, and there was ice on the road. She was getting her mail, and she slipped underneath her car. And she had her phone, and she was able to get emergency service because she could not get out from underneath her car. So I really, if you are interested in that, you can again Google Apple Watch fall protection prevention. Get more information. You can also text me, email me, and I can give you more information about it.
And Apple's not the only brand anymore that does these, luckily. So there are some other options. This is definitely the best known one and probably the most advanced technology still. But if you're not an Apple user, they do make other products like Garmin, and some other brands do have watches with fall detection capacity now too. And I can't stress enough how important it is for you to have some way to call for help all the time. And, we have patients come to the hospital who have been on the ground for 15 hours until someone shows up at their house because they can't get to a phone. I can't stress how important it is to just have a way to call for help, and don't think you're going to have your cell phone on you all the time, because people leave it in a room, they walk away. I've had this conversation with my mom recently. She's like, I just went upstairs for a minute. I said, well, what if something happened upstairs? Not even a fall, an emergency of any kind, and you have no phone on the second floor. How are you going to get to a phone? So don't take it lightly. I always have my phone on me. If I had an Apple Watch, I'd be wearing it, but it's very, very important if you live alone to have a way to call for help.
Um, what to do? Whoop, sorry about that. It is absolutely very touchy this morning. What to do if you fall? Okay, so you're going to stay calm. Be assertive. We go back to that assertive communication. I was walking down. I'm sorry, I'm going to do some air quotes. I hate that, but the Santa Fe River is actually a little trickle. But we have a little place called the Bishop Falls where the rocks go across the water. And there were five people walking across, and a lady fell. And the immediate reaction is everybody rushes to her to try to get her up. Now, first of all, we have no idea what happened to her when she fell. We don't know why she fell. We don't know if she's broken anything. We don't know if she's hit her head. I just turned and saw her. I heard something and I turned and she was down. And everybody was rushed over trying to get her up, said, wait, wait, just let's take a minute. I asked, are you okay? Did you, can you check yourself? Did you hit your head? Do you think you broke anything? Let's check your arms, your legs. She's like, no, I'm really okay. And that's what you want to do. You want to stop and be calm and check for injuries, breaks, sprains, bloods. Take a few minutes to see what your pain or your injuries, even if you're in the middle of the street. You've got to figure this out before you try to get up, because number one, somebody could hurt you more by trying to get you up. They could also hurt themselves. They may not be, they want to help you, but they may not be helpful. If you did hit your head, if you lost consciousness, call 911. They will come. These are wonderful people. I love them to death. They will come, they will assess what's going on. You don't have to go to the hospital, but they will make a recommendation based on what they assess. And if they say you should go to the hospital, I really, truly just say, go. We want you alive. We want you doing well. And the only way you can check for a traumatic brain injury is if you can do a CT scan or MRI, depending on what the emergency department decides is best for you. So at Villages, we'd love to have you join us. We have a Welcome to Wellness Pass, and that's 5 free classes a month. Plus, every Monday morning, we have our AARP class, which is also free, and like today is presented by AARP. You can just email us, and we'll be glad to send you one. Our next program is going to be lots of fun. It's called Decluttering, Downsizing, Letting Go, Lead to Ease, Freedom, and Discovery. And I think this is really probably a really not uncommon thing, as you see from the cartoon, where the gentleman and his son are standing in front of the storage unit, and he says, "One day, son, this will all be yours." We're trying to help people get in the mood of being able to detach a little bit from some of their things and help make their life a little more free. So we'd love to open this up for conversations, and we can let me go to host tools, and you can unmute yourself, and we'd be glad to take questions, or you can put them into the chat.
Hello, I'm Eve. I'm from Pennsylvania, West North. Thank you so much. How tremendous to have this expertise and this presentation. Thank you so much. I was wondering what your thoughts are on, those rubber mats in the tubs. On the one hand, I hear like tripping hazard, any type of thing like that. Plus, I remember from 50 years ago, it leaves a mark on the tub versus the safety of the rubber mat, and also then there's the whole thing about having rubber in the house. But just your thought.
I agree with you. I really don't like the rubber mats. I have one that's kind of like a loofah. Um, and yeah, and I got it from Amazon, and I like it a whole lot better. You have to be careful because you do have to take it up and let it drain, because it tends to get a little bit of mold if you don't. But it's really great. It kind of gives you that scrubby feeling on your feet. And I don't it now when I have my grandson here, I do have a rubber mat with him because I just don't want
Okay.
him flipping around. Yeah.
Yeah, so safety. So a lot of people use. Yeah, I'm up or down. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd say something non-slip. It doesn't have to be the traditional rubber mat. They make a lot of different varieties of non-slip surfaces. And also you might consider a grab bar or a seat if you're really concerned about your balance stepping in and out of the tub.
Yes, I have a comment on that grab bar. When I was taking care of my late father-in-law, I bought him some grab bars, and they were not, I got them from a DME company. However, I did not get them professionally installed. He was in a rental unit, it's a whole thing, but they did not work well. I didn't even feel good enough to donate them to charity, actually, to Goodwill, because I was concerned of the safety of the commercial bar, like in the shower, they suction cup to the shower. I just wanted to
Yeah.
share that, my experience.
Yes, I agree. Suction cup grab bars are not reliable, so definitely get them installed professionally. That's totally accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
the grab bars have to be really anchored. The suction cup is uh, not adequate, and also then your towel bar is not a grab bar. Yeah, that just
Fair. That's what I do. All right, I'll mute now.
thank you. Yeah, go ahead. You're unmuted.
Hi, name is Dennis Rovin. Really enjoyed your presentation, and we've taken numerous presentations. One of them recently in 2025. It was from Stony Brook Hospital. It was a 10-week program, twice a week, and we really enjoyed it and learned a lot about it, and we became very close to people. We had about 10 to 12 people that were in our group, and that was really, and we also finished at a place called Access. We live in Connecticut. We come down to Florida, which we are right now in Florida, but just before we came here, we finished this course also. It was a PT course, and we really learned a lot from it. I'm 82 years old. My wife will be 82. We're very active. We exercise every day, and my occupation, I was a physical education instructor, and I try to keep up what I did when I retired. but we've learned a lot by, yes, I've had falls. I've learned when I was on the last one that I had, I knew I was going down because in New York City, where I was living, the streets are horrible, and it was daylight, but the sidewalks are lifted, and you really have to be extremely careful. But my shoe got caught, sneaker got caught, and I went down, and I put my hands out, and I did a forward roll, and it prevented me from really hurting myself. But you really have to be careful, and these courses that we took really helped us, and whether it's on the street or at home, they spent a lot of time with it, and I just wanted to tell you that we picked up some pointers today also. So thank you very
so much.
Thank you very much. So, I mean, one of the things that people say that, well, if I fall on my wrist, I may break my wrist, and I was talking with somebody yesterday who actually had fallen and broken both wrists, which is really tragic. It's too bad they couldn't, come out and at least put, something down just to spare that. But they did spare their head, and wrists are bad,
head,
but
yeah.
heads are worse. Yeah, Laura.
I broke my hip 3 years ago, right in my dining room. I was just finishing an exercise class, and I was doing nothing. I was standing. I tripped over the chair leg or my husband's leg, I don't even know what, and I went down on a tile floor. And I needed a total hip replacement. I could walk, but it's not the same. It's not like my good leg, that I can tell you. And then we were looking for furniture. We're moving from New York to Connecticut, and my daughter was shopping with us, and I saw this beautiful area rug. And she said, "Ma, you're not getting an area rug. Let's move on."
Good.
That was something I never would have thought of, but she was right. Area rugs are treacherous. They really are.
Yeah.
So that was a lesson well learned also.
Thank you.
And thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks for joining
everybody coming. You may check if you're in New Mexico. We are hosting a number of online or in-person programs coming up in February and March. But if you're not, check with your local Department of Health. There may be a list of programs in your local area. There are evidence-based programs like A Matter of Balance and On the Move, but just basically senior programs for exercise. Just keep it moving, everybody. That's the most important thing.
So
And we want to thank our
goodbye.
sponsors here from CHRISTUS, AARP New Mexico. We have local support from the Las Campanas Community Foundation and the Santa Fe Community Foundation, and Quorum Health Foundation and CHRISTUS St. Vincent's.
If we're looking for classes, do we go to villagesofsantafe.org?
Yeah, yep, I put it in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Join us. We have a free pass where you can come to 5 classes a month, plus Monday classes are free. They're sponsored by AARP. So join up and we'd love to see you.
Thank you very much.
And I will have this video up probably tomorrow afternoon in our blog, on our website, our homepage. Just go to the blogs and the downloads will be there. There'll be the SETI risk assessments and some other documents as well. And I put my email in there if y'all want to get in touch with me. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.